What are those 40 questions that can be found at sba.gov? And I will post the exact landing page in the SBA community, sba.gov community, where you can find these questions, these 40 questions. I highly recommend that if you are thinking about starting a business, and we certainly hope you are, this country, the economy of the United States, as well as many countries around the world, there's never been a more important, more significant time for new businesses to get started, because there aren't enough new jobs being created, and new jobs are created when new businesses are started, very simply, with job number one being the job that the entrepreneur who starts the business creates for themselves. Okay, let's look at these 40 questions. And as I said, I highly recommend that you go to sba.gov and take this test yourself, because it is an assessment, and there are suggested next steps that direct you to the appropriate SBA resources to improve your, as they say, to improve your business preparedness. Let's pause for a moment before we start the questions. One thing that a high percentage of small business owners that I have met over the years, that I've interacted with over the years, do not take the necessary time to find and explore resources that will help their businesses become more efficient and subsequently grow and develop at a faster pace. They're too busy working in their business to take the time, as my friend Michael Gerber says, to work on your business. They're working in the business and don't take the time to look at the big picture. And that's a common mistake and a common error that entrepreneurs starting a business make. I take the time. I've always taken the time to explore resources that are available, so that I can share that information with whomever it is I'm addressing at that moment, be it a stickham.com audience, be it a YouTube audience, be it a one-on-one discussion that I have with a small business owner. I take the time to explore the resources. And in fact, one of the key tabs that we have on our community board landing page are small business resources. And so you'll be able to click on there and find these resources for yourself. But let's get down to the questions. Do you think you are ready to start a business? I answered yes to that question. You'd have to get started. You can think about it all you want, but the important part, the important aspect is getting started. Have you ever worked in a business similar to what you are planning to start? And in a case, I can answer yes to that question. The first 10 years of my small business experience, I was a publisher. I had a publication, and my very first opportunity out of college was partnering with a gentleman, I.D. Blumenthal, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mr. I.D., as we called him, a very wealthy businessman in Charlotte, North Carolina, had, as an investment, bought a publication in North Carolina, and for several years before he met me, he was never able to partner with anybody who could grow that business for him. We met very quickly after I graduated with a master's degree in college, and He actually, we talked on the telephone less than 2 weeks after I graduated from college. He literally flew me down to North Carolina the next day, and before I left North Carolina, offered me the opportunity to partner with him. He would provide all the money. I would provide all the talent, all the skills, all the creative energies to publish. So I had that year of experience, and then in the very next year after that, my father passed away, and my father had owned a publication in my hometown, Campton, Ohio, and so it was incumbent upon me to return to Canton to help my mother continue publishing this publication that my dad actually didn't start it. He had bought it. He bought it when I was a senior in high school, and I was very fortunate to attend all the meetings that my father had. There were 3 of them as he was purchasing this publication. And so I got an opportunity very early when I was a senior in high school to start to understand business, what business was all about, and was very fortunate to listen to my father as he negotiated with the owner of the business. So why I'm telling you this story is that I had some experience in publishing before I actually made my own investment to further and grow a publication. So if you're thinking about starting a business, if you've got some experience, if you think you want to be in an area where you have some practical experience, be it a job, be it a family member, a relative, a friend, that's a good place to start to get the information necessary to find out if that business is really something that you should pursue as an endeavor. Would people that know you say that you are well suited to be self-employed? Loaded question, but an important one. Self-employment, once again, I was young and naive when I became self-employed, so I didn't think about risk. I didn't think about leaving a big job, if you will, to start a business. I just did it because it was the right thing to do. And I've never looked back. And it was that was the major transition in my life that took me out of college and into the business world. Let me stop about and talk a moment about college and business. And I share a thought which is very, very unpopular, certainly with the colleges and universities. I have nothing against colleges and universities. Very important. However, what is very challenging right now is all the money that one invests in a college education. Do you or will you ever get a return on that investment? A college education today easily can cost $100,000. How long will it take you to get a return on investment? Ask all those students who graduated from college starting in about 2008, 2007. Ask them how many of them, A, have a job, and how many of those who have a job in the area that they desired, that they got a college education with the hope that they would get a great job after college. Unfortunately, it's a very small number. If your thought and idea is early on, as you were entering college or before you enter college or you're thinking about college, that you want to start a business, why not start the business now? Why invest an additional $100,000 or whatever, $50,000, whatever the number is? Why invest it if your ultimate goal is to start a business? Just go ahead and start it. Perhaps the most famous business on earth right now is Facebook. And we all know the story about Facebook, the great entrepreneurial story with Mark Zuckerberg, that a brilliant computer scientist, he went to Harvard. Not only did he go to Harvard as a computer scientist, he went to Harvard as a very interested in psychology. Think about that, how important psychology is to the growth and development of Facebook. He knew that people would want to get connected through a technology platform that he would create. That was his motivation for starting Facebook. And he got so excited about it, dropped out of college as a sophomore, not the only famous billionaire to drop out of Harvard early and start a business. The other one that comes to mind most quickly is Bill Gates, who co-founded Microsoft, dropped out of Harvard. If that's what you want to do, if you want to start a business, if you have that passion, if you have that persistence, if you have that patience that I talked about yesterday, do it now. Start now. So take that $100,000 that you were going to invest in your college education and put it into starting a business. It makes a lot of sense to me. It's a risk. There's no question that it's a risk. But if that's what your passion is, then do it. Don't put off. Quite honestly, I invested personally in 5 years of college. And when I went to college a million years ago, it was inexpensive. My entire college education cost something like $5,000 for 5 years, 2 degrees. So I was very fortunate. I went to college at the right time. And what I am doing today does not relate at all to what I did in college. I was doing some entrepreneurial things, about a half a dozen entrepreneurial things in college. In fact, my sophomore year in college, way back in 1968, I worked in a labor job, and during the summer I worked a shift and almost a second shift, so many days it was approaching 15, 16 hours that I worked. And then when school started up again that fall, I was only able to work maybe 12, 13, 14 hours a week. The point is I made enough money to buy my college education and my first car that I bought when I was 2021. But the point I'm trying to make is I could have taken that $5,000 and started a business, but it was only $5,000. Now, less than a quarter or a semester, you can invest $5,000 to get you through that much of college. Okay, do you have support for your business from family and friends? This, my friends, is a great question that needs consideration, particularly if you're going to operate your business out of your home. Do you have the support of family and friends? Taking that idea in my, digressing for a moment, I did not have a lot of support from family and friends over the years, and that's okay, no big deal. I knew what I wanted to do, I knew my passion, and I pursued it. If you ask my sons Jordan and Sam, Jordan's 25, Sam's 24, their entire life they watched me, observed me as I built several businesses in those years with them, and they actively watch me now. So I was operating out of my home, operated out of a room in my home, started out in a bedroom in the home, went to a basement, but I've never left the home. I have never left my home in my business endeavors. So it was incumbent that I had the support and of the family members who lived in that home with me. And sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. It's a lot easier when you do. And when you operate out of your home, you have to have the support. If you don't, it's just not going to work. That doesn't mean you can't have a business. You'll just have to take your business outside of your home. I am going to stop my